All right, everybody. So let's go over the position on Euro USD. You can see the P&L here. My first and only position, I'm in at 121.13.8. So let's just focus on that 121.13. You can see it's the same entry price all the way down here, just different exit prices. My best exit so far was at 121.28. That's just where we're sitting right now at about 2R. I took off a little bit here at 1R as it pushed up the first time. I closed a little bit as it broke back down, only to make sure that if it did come to full stop, I wouldn't lose money on the trade. At worst, I would just wash out at even, covering my costs, and then that would be it. I would just come back tomorrow or come back later in the day. So that's why I closed a little bit as it broke back down, but I still wanted to hold the position, and here's why. If we go back to yesterday, Friday, you can see the divergence on the bottom with this rising RSI here and falling price action. That sets that low that we're looking to trade off of today. The pin here at the this is like 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Friday. That's what sets up the zone because the two candles to the right and the two candles to the left are not lower. Overnight, in the Asian session and at the start of the London session last night, we have more bullish divergence, which is a strong indicator that it should move higher. We have 3 tests of that zone, which confirms it as support. And then we have the break of the 50 EMA, which is the change of bias that we would look for it to then rise towards the white 200 EMA up here, going EMA to EMA. This is based on the D2 entry signal. This is something that's like a counter trend reversal signal that sometimes can go full reset up to this 800 EMA. Now, I wasn't anticipating that today. I was just looking for this to make its way to the 200, and it almost made it there so far. So far, I'm up about 2R at best. And now, as you can see, my stop loss is locked. You saw the P&L. I can't lose any money on this trade, and I've already closed majority of it. The entry point comes as it retests this blue 50 EMA here at about 5 o'clock this morning. I was up a little early today, about 4, did my meditation, had my coffee, got to the desk at about 4:30, and then 35 or 40 minutes later, I found my entry here. Now, this was the only pair that I was really focused on this morning. Euro JPY was on the list, but it ended up coming higher, so that didn't shake out. GU was on the list, but that ended up rising. So as GU was rising, I was looking at this to rise as well. The idea on GU was to look for shorts, and it just never played out. So with that rising, it kind of fed my idea here that this was going to come higher. The entry point comes as a D1 entry using the bullish divergence on the 1 minute in this 50 retest. So it breaks the 50, retests the 50. I'm anticipating it to hold the 50, hold the upshift with the 8 yellow EMA above the red 21, and continue up today towards that 200 EMA. Now, if I pull up the 1 minute, you can see here, this is the bullish divergence at that dark blue 800 EMA here on the 1 minute. That 800 EMA is the same thing as the 15-minute 50. So we set the bullish divergence there, which sets this pin right here as my bottom. It then forms a higher low off that divergence structure as it breaks under the 50 and back through it. The TDI also pulling itself into the buy zone kind of confirms that it's ready to move higher. So that's where I took my position this morning, right at about 503. In that first push up after the entry, it doesn't make it to 1R. That's this black line right here. It doesn't make it to 1R. Instead, it pulls back down to the entry and forms more bullish divergence, which is what kept me in the trade. I was ready to get out of it if it was going to keep coming lower, but it held that 1 minute 200 EMA, and when it formed this bullish divergence, I felt that we were then going to get another push to the upside. And that's what we did. That's where we pushed to 1R the first time, and if you look at the P&L, my exit here was at 121.22. You can see right here, 121.22. So that's where I took off the first piece. I closed a little bit more as it broke down here, started to pull this 1 minute TDI into the sell zone since that's not what I love. And then I closed even more here as it was just sitting above my entry price. You can see 121.14 and 121.16, just above my entry price at 121.13. So I took off a little bit more there, again, just to mitigate the risk because I wasn't 100% sure that it was going to bounce and come higher. You can never know for sure, right? It ends up then holding that entry price and pulling that 1 minute TDI back into the buy zone, market sentiment here back into the buy zone. And that's where we've now pushed over 1R up to 2R. And now we're sitting right under the 200 EMA where I think we could get a little bit more push up to that 121.33 level. But then as it moved higher here about 30 minutes ago, it formed another entry formation that we teach in our courses, this being the A1 formation. So this is really the D2 formation giving us the levels to trade off of, the D1 coming in here and giving us the entry signal, and then an A1 here confirming that we're in a great position and that we're going to hold this upshift 8 above the 21 EMA and continue at least, in my opinion, to the 200 EMA today. And that's exactly what I've been looking for, and that's how I stayed patient with this trade, and that's why I'm still in it with about 20%, 25% of the position still left on and my stop loss locked in profit. It's now 9:30. Stocks are about to open in 20 seconds. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. I'm going to take this trade and let it run. If it wants to continue higher through the 200, great. If it wants to come back down and stop me out, I'll be moving my stop loss up as the trade moves up. So once it gets to 3R, my stop will go to 1R. When it gets to 4R, my stop will go to 1.5R. And I'll continue to move it up until it comes down and stops me out in profit, or until we reach the 800 EMA, which is way up here. So I don't anticipate it's going to shoot to that level, but I'll take more profit along the way at each R multiple, just slowly piecing myself out of the trade. So if you're wondering about like trade management, the way that we teach it in our courses, which are still on sale right now, the summer sale is still running. You guys can use the link in the description. At checkout, you're automatically going to get 20% off whatever you do. But in those courses, I teach you not only how to take the entry and how to manage the trade, but also how much size you should be putting on each trade and what to do as it moves to each R multiple. Because I think that's a big piece that a lot of traders are missing. They might be able to get into a winning trade, but they don't know how to get out of it consistently, profitably. You know what I mean? How do you say that proper? They don't know how to get out of it on a consistent basis, winning more times than they're losing, is what I'm trying to say. And I think the key is not giving back any money. So once you move up 2R, lock your stop, take profits, some of it, and let the trade continue. I've had too many trades in the beginning of my career that would move up 2-3R and then end up coming all the way back down, and I would go red on those trades. And that's just foolish. Avoid popcorn trades, and you're going to be able to grow your account much faster than ever before. So when you're up 2R on a good setup like this, you're taking profit and you're locking your stop. And the same thing if you're in a less high probability setup, a lower probability setup, you're going to want to take profit sooner and lock that stop loss sooner. But we go into that in all my other trade recaps. You guys can check that out. You can also just take the courses and learn how to do it yourself. And I think it'll make a big difference in your trading decisions for a lot of you. But I think that's where we're going to leave it this morning. This is going to be my trade of the day on Euro USD. Like you guys saw, my stop loss is locked. Stocks are open now. Bitcoin is up about 3.5% here. And stocks are looking pretty calm to start the day here. Pretty calm. Nothing on my watch list going too crazy. So I think this is a good place to stop. We've had our biggest live session of the year so far. I've been streaming since May 1st, almost every day of the week at 8 a.m. Now, a month and a half into it, we have our biggest stream. So I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate you guys being here live. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching it. Hopefully it brought you some value, and we'll do it all again tomorrow morning, 8 a.m., same time, same place. So make sure you're subscribed. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up.